What do typical real estate investors do is they don't have all of their money deployed all the time. They have to keep profit from some of their deals sitting on the sideline in a traditional bank account in order to be able to take advantage of that next great opportunity when it comes along. Right. So what I'm doing is helping them find a better place to save their money and being able to have this opportunity fund is what I call it. It's a fund of money that you can access very quickly. So you can get it within 5 days, and just super quick access. And it gives you the ability to take advantage of any great real estate deal right when it comes along.
Hey, Masters, welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. And today I am with Mr. Tom Laune from Bulletproof Wealth. What is up, Tom?
Hey, David. Not much, man. I'm so glad to be on the show with you today, and I'm excited to dive in and learn, talk some new strategies with you.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you making the time for this. So we met, it's been about a month and a half now. We met at the Pat Quinn, Pete Vargas event. And we were working on our signature talk. How'd that work out for you, by the way?
It's doing well. I'm so excited to dive in and learn all the techniques that, that there's a lot of information to take in 2 days, but it is something that I'm super excited to be a part of. And was really glad I got to meet you there. It was fun.
Absolutely. And we had a really great dinner and great conversation. So a little bit about you. You had a unique path to creating Bulletproof Wealth, or the Bulletproof Wealth strategy. You enjoyed a 30-year career in the music industry as a recording engineer and producer, working with diverse acts like R.E.M, Bruce Springsteen, Amy Grant. Early in your career, your financial professional recommended disability income policy, something you didn't even know existed. Several years later, Tom suffered high-frequency hearing loss while mixing a record and was no longer able to continue the job he loved. At the time, his disability income policy became the most valuable possession he owned. It provided consistent tax-free income payments that allowed him to go back to school, learn how to help others protect their financial future by becoming a charter financial consultant, chartered Life Underwriter, and chartered special needs consultant. He also became an authorized Infinite Banking Practitioner. And after many years of education and research, Tom created the Bulletproof Wealth strategy to help others protect their income and grow wealth. The secret to his strategy is teaching people to use money like banks do and earn much higher interest rates of return than the average investor. And so, Tom, first off, thanks again for being with us.
Sure.
And reading bios is not my big strength yet. So we'll just get that out right away. But listen, I'm good at asking questions, and I just appreciate you being here. And I think we're in some interesting times right now. So there's a lot going on right now when it comes to the economy, when it comes to inflation and interest rates and stuff happening overseas. I mean, what Bulletproof Wealth? How does that? Well, first off, tell us, what is Bulletproof Wealth? We'll start there, and then we'll go back to my.
Okay. So Bulletproof Wealth is a strategy that I developed. And listen, David, I want to just go into my background a little bit. So in the music industry, when I was mixing and doing all of these records that you just referred to, I got basically hammered and lied to and cheated by 3 different financial advisors in a row. And it was really disheartening because here I am, I'm just working hard, doing my thing, but I did not realize that the music industry was one of the most heavily preyed on industries for financial fraud that there is, because most people consider that industry to be low financial literacy. So they try to take advantage of people, unfortunately, especially people who are doing well. And that happened not 1, not 2, but 3 times. 2 of those people went to jail, and the third guy should have, went to jail, but somehow escaped. But I just wanted to, when I was not able to do that job anymore because I lost some hearing and wasn't able to continue, I had one thing that went right during that time, and that was I bought a really good disability income protection policy for me. It's called long-term disability, and not to be confused with short-term, and they're very different things. And it was just a really amazing thing that happened, which allowed me to go back to school and do anything I want to do. So I decided to change careers and be a guy in the financial professional realm that was not out to take advantage of people, right? I wanted to do it right. And I wanted to treat people, and putting their best interests above mine and anybody else's. And so I just decided 10 years ago to get into this business and try to really correct some of the wrongs that were done to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Absolutely. So talk to us about Bulletproof Wealth. What is Bulletproof
So,
Wealth?
Bulletproof Wealth is a system of putting money into specially designed whole life insurance for a lot of reasons, but one of the main ones is for the tax advantages and for the non-correlated asset. So, one of the unique things that most people don't know is that banks, I teach people every day how banks make money. They don't lend out their own money, they lend out their depositors' money, and they take their own money and they put it into, by the billions of dollars, into the same product that I'm teaching people to how to understand and use effectively in their life. And basically, it's just a similar to a home equity line of credit, except for the underlying asset is not your house. The underlying asset that you're creating a line of credit on is a life insurance policy that is specially designed to put the most money in possible for the least amount of insurance. And it's a very you know, underappreciated, under low level of understanding of what it is and how it works. But when people realize that you can put your money into a life insurance policy, eventually have way more money than you ever put into it, and be able to collateralize that and put it into your business or into investments as well, and have your money growing in your policy compounded, and being able to have it grow in an investment vehicle, I'm telling you, there's nothing that works like it in the financial world. And that's what I've really gravitated toward. That's one part of the Bulletproof Wealth strategy. The second part is, man, you've got to get long-term disability if you don't have it, because that's what ended up saving me, from being able to go back to school. And there's just so few people that have that. It's the least owned type of insurance that there is. The reason is because it pays very low commissions and it's difficult to get. So nobody even likes to talk about it.
So you're talking long term, like a Geico
Long-term
type
disability,
policy? Is
no,
that
Geico short term. So that is not what I'm talking at all. I'm talking about long-term individually owned disability insurance. There's a handful of carriers that are really good at doing it, but they're mostly mutually owned companies. I like Mass Mutual, for example. They do a great job with it. But the key thing that you want to have is you want to have what's called an own occupation designation. And that means that if you can't do your job that you're doing right now, then it pays. Not
Mhm.
if you can't do any job in the whole world, right? Not if you can't, stand at a checkout line and wave people goodbye. You don't want to be not able to work at Walmart or whatever, because that's a really high bar for being disabled. That's what, by the way, Social Security disability is, that definition. It's basically you can't work in any occupation at all. So I was unable to do my recording engineering work and my mixing work that I did in the music industry for all these artists. But I certainly didn't mean I was a vegetable or couldn't do anything, right? So I went back to school and just learned a whole new deal. But it's really been great, because I took all of the principles that I learned for 30 years, which is putting the artist before myself, making their vision become a reality. And I've translated that into working with clients now and putting the client's future financial goals as the main thing I'm trying to achieve, and putting their interest before anybody else's. That is the thing that I do. So it's really awesome. So bottom line is, with this big stock market volatility going on, it's not affecting any of my hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients that I have all over the world. I mean, not world, all over the US. So I'm only do business in the United States, just as a point of clarification.
So
But
tell us how or why it doesn't affect your clients.
it doesn't affect my clients because there's a guaranteed component of whole life insurance. It's one of the most stable assets that there is out there, and it grows every year, and it's not correlated at all to the stock market. So all of my clients are experiencing year over year growth. They never have a down year, no matter what. And the only thing it could be affecting is what they're investing in, meaning that this is a place to store money that gives you a much better rate of return than a bank account, but it's not an investment. So you're getting 3.5%, 4% growth over time, maybe 4.5 over the long term. With my clients is the compound growth, but that is not where they're making their money. They're making their money by putting it into an investment vehicle of their choice. Now, David, that being said, most of my clients are real estate investors. Okay. I'll be honest with you, because they're the unique classification of people that want control of their money. So they invest in things they can control. And usually that is locally owned real estate, where either single family, multifamily, self-storage, commercial, mobile home parks, those types of assets. And those things have been doing wonderfully. Number one, and there's just a shortage of supply and a huge demand, so they've been going up in value hand over fist.
Yeah, absolutely. So who now your client, do you only work with like high net worth clients, or who is your ideal client?
So my ideal client, first of all, I try to work with as many people as I really think that I could help. But ideally, it's going to be an accredited investor. So in the 200,000 a year plus income range, with some liquidity that they are holding on the sidelines, waiting for an investment opportunity. So what do typical real estate investors do? Is they don't have all of their money deployed all the time. They have to keep profit from some of their deals sitting on the sideline in a traditional bank account in order to be able to take advantage of that next great opportunity when it comes along, right? So what I'm doing is helping them find a better place to save their money, and being able to have this opportunity fund is what I call it. It's a fund of money that you can access very quickly, so you can get it within 5 days, and just super quick access. And it gives you the ability to take advantage of any great real estate deal right when it comes along. So you're able to, grow your wealth. That's the whole point of this.
Got it. So it's having access to like that capital that you can play around with, but then you have your money, your primary
Yeah,
money's in being invested.
exactly. The point is, you're saving money in a safe place, and then when an investment opportunity comes along, then you take advantage of it. But you don't use your money. That's the secret. You use the insurance company's money, and your money stays in your life insurance policy, and you pay them a low interest rate. So right now it's 4%. You pay them a low interest rate, and then you turn around and make a high interest rate. So quick question: if you paid out 4% to an insurance company for the use of their money, and you make 12% in a real estate investment, what is the rate of return that you're making? I ask people this all the time. It's a little bit trickier than it sounds, but if you're paying 4 and making 12, what does that sound like?
You're paying 4, you're making 12. I mean, it sounds like it's 8, but it's
It
more.
sounds like 8
Yeah.
until you put dollars to it, right? So if you have $100,000, David, and you pay 4, that means you're paying $4,000. You're not using any of your own money. you put $100,000 into an investment. If you take that $100,000 and you make 12 on it in a real estate investment, you're bringing in $12,000. So this is how banks make money, right? You pay 4,000, you make 12,000. That is a 200% rate of return. So 4 to 8 is 100,000. 8 to 12 is 200,000. So you're actually making extremely high rates of return by doing this strategy. It's incredible.
It is incredible. So why aren't more people? Why isn't everybody doing that? Like,
Everybody asks that question. I love it. So there are people that are doing this massively, and actually there are a lot of wealthy people that take advantage of this particular financial construct. It's just not made its way down to the average average person, because they just are not trained to think like that. Here's how the average investor is trained to think: is take your money, hire somebody to put it at risk in the market, and then basically, if the market goes down, the person who told you to put it at risk basically says, well, you just need to stick it out for the long haul. I mean, that's literally what really happens in the real world. Is that's all great and fine as long as there's not what's called sequence of return risk that comes in. And that means that you need the money when the market is down, and then you have to distribute it, and you don't have a chance for it to come back up. So it's not a game I'm willing to play, and none of my clients really are either. They want to be in more control than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's fun. It's what you're just saying, because that is so true, where they say, well, don't worry, it's going to come back, but you have to write it down for it to come back.
You have to write it down, and then you have to hope that you don't need that money.
That's
right. So if it goes down right when you're 67 and you're retiring when you're 68, those are the people who get killed. You see what I mean? Because they don't have time for it to come back up. So the sequence of when a crash or a market correction happens is a huge indicator of whether or not you're going to be okay or not. And it's just, you can't control it. So that means you're really out of control with your financial future. And most of my clients don't want to be out of control. And so they don't do it that way. They put their money in things that they have a lot more control over.
So your clients are investing in these whole life policies, and they're not doing I'm guessing some of them are doing stuff with the stock market, but it's more of a
very few are doing it with the market. They're not investing in the whole life policies. The whole life policies are a place to save their capital first, and then they're investing in real estate deals. They're investing in multifamily, single family, apartment complexes, which is multifamily, self-storage facilities. I have a self-storage facility that I invest in, mobile home parks. I mean, all kinds of things that you have a consistent cash flow that is earning you a higher rate of return than you're paying for the use of the money. That's the whole key. If you think you can make more than 4% in something that you can control, and that could even be a private business that you own. Let's just say for fun, David, that you sold t-shirts, right? And you could buy t-shirts for $4 and turn around and sell them for $8. Look, that's a markup. And you could use this strategy to buy your $4 t-shirts, use other people's money to do it, and it would dramatically increase the profitability of your business. Because also you're getting a dividend. So you're getting growth on the money as well, even if you use it, because you're not using your own money and the money inside the life insurance policy is growing. So that is the key thing with my strategy, is that you're kind of essentially able to use money in two places at once.
Wow. So talk to us about the market, right now with everything happening. Are you encouraging people to, and I'm guessing some people are probably saying, well, if times are, if they're, like you said earlier, your clients aren't are
Yeah,
just kind of cruising along, like, right? But
they
what
are.
if somebody isn't in that situation? What would you say to them where they are being
Well,
affected by everything
it's
going on?
tricky because you try to catch a falling knife if you try to think that you can buy back, get out now and then buy back in when it's lower. Like, I don't know where it's headed, but I know that there's been a correction brewing for a long time. And, if we have 2 quarters in a row of negative GDP, we're going to be in a recession. And it's just, the Fed is doing everything they can do right now to curtail the massive inflation that is happening. Here's one thing I would tell people to do if they want something safe. I would tell them to get a government I bond. I don't know if how many of you guys know this, but I bonds are paying 9.62% with no risk right now. It just started a couple of days ago. And the reason you're probably not going to hear about those from anybody is because there's no commission and nobody gets paid anything to tell anyone about them, right? It's not a lot of money you can put in. It's a $10,000 per person cap. But if there's 4 or 5 people in your family, you can do one of those per person, and it's really cool. So you just go to treasurydirect.gov, treasurydirect.gov, and select I bonds, and you can read all about them. Create your account there. No one else is involved. There's no financial advisor. There's no nothing. There's no um, what do you call it? Management fee. There's none of that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend people, to take action. That's one action step that you could take, is get out of at least some of this crazy volatility that we're in. I don't know if you saw this, David, but the market was up 962 points on Tuesday. No, let's see. It was 962 points on Wednesday, and then it was down 1,013 yesterday. So it's
Insane.
just crazy. It's crazy high volatility right now. I don't know where it's going to land. But if it were me, I would say, de-risk as much as you possibly can
So,
to,
so let's talk
um,
about that. And this, and we're gonna start wrapping up. I know we had a hard
sure.
stop today. When it comes to investing, investors, how does somebody continue to get the returns and invest in these times, and at the same time protect their family and their assets and everything
Well,
else?
that is a huge part of what is involved in my strategy, because as people put cash into these things, they're also asset protected inside of these things. It varies on a state basis as to how much, but most states it's 100%. So you have that, and you got the component of life insurance. So if something happens to you early in life, you've got this massive multi-million-dollar payout. So, I mean, I can't tell you how strongly I feel about people protecting themselves in this way. It is a product that everyone can take advantage of. And I don't know, in terms of long term, I think it's the safest place I know of to store capital long term.
I love it. So, Tom, for people that want to get in touch with you, want to get some more information on what you're up to, or see if maybe they'd be the right type, a client fit for you, how would they get in touch with you?
So I have a really simple system, David. It's where you go to bulletproofwealth.info, which is my website. So bulletproofwealth.info. And you sign up for my free videos. Because look, I know this is a lot to take in on a podcast. So you're going to want to watch some good, solid, well produced educational videos, and then decide if it's something that it makes sense for you to do. And after you watch a half a dozen videos, spend an hour really learning what I teach, then you can book a time to talk with me if it still seems like something you're interested in. And I'm more than happy to go through. And if it doesn't work, for you, then that's cool. I mean, one of the biggest reasons it doesn't work for somebody is if they have health challenges, because health challenges really are something that drives the cost of insurance up, and then the efficiency goes down. So I'm mostly work with moderately healthy people, right? You have to have a certain level of health to be able to take advantage of this.
Oh, amazing. Well, I have my big takeaways are, I I need to get a whole life policy. It's funny. You know what? 10 years ago, I met with somebody I was going to, and then I talked to someone else that talked me out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I would
rough.
just, it was investing about $800 a month into the policy. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't a ton of money. And, yeah, but anyway, it is what it is. The best time to plant a tree 20 years ago, next best time today. And my other takeaway is the
Yeah.
disability insurance.
Yes, sir.
That is a huge one. And then I also wrote down, what'd you say? The I bond, government I bond.
Yes. Treasurydirect.gov.
Yeah.
Guys, everybody should be doing that. Treasurydirect.gov. It's just you setting up your own account right now. Through October of 22, it's paying 9.62%, and then it might go up or it might adjust down. It depends on what inflation is doing. But right now, that's just an insane return for basically zero risk. That's just unbelievable. So if you took a 4% loan from your life insurance policy and put it into an I bond, you would be making well over 100% return. Does that make sense?
It's insane.
It's incredible. David, I would love to help you figure it out. So let's connect. Okay.
Yeah, you and I do that. And everybody else listening really need to go go to your site again, get those videos. I keep my eyes on those videos every time I get them. Really, really informational, educational stuff, good stuff. And final thought, one more time, give us the link so they can sign up and start getting your videos.
Yeah, it's bulletproofwealth.info. Bulletproofwealth.info.
Bulletproofwealth.info. Write that down. We actually had 153 people listening to us on Clubhouse. That's it, right? You need to get set up on Clubhouse.
Yes.
All right. So to that point, final thoughts. So what would you say? And if somebody is listening to this, or maybe they just popped in, what would you say to the person now about wealth and
Listen, I would say there's a lot of amazing options out there that you may or may not heard of. And I think you just need to start really digging to learn, and be careful just randomly searching on Google and YouTube, because you're going to get a lot of misinformation from people that don't really do it every day and don't really understand it. And if you're going to work with somebody, try to find somebody who's been doing it a good long time, so they really know what they're talking about and have some, real financial designations to back up what they're saying.
I love it. Thank you, man. Well, listen, I appreciate your time, and yeah, you and I need to connect offline and
definitely, David. And I appreciate you having me on. Okay.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.